Russell, part of the fallout that we're seeing play out in the mainstream press or the corporate press is the questioning of Ward's status as an American Indian, identity and ethnicity as an American Indian. What's driving those questions? What do those questions reveal about what the broader scope of what this really is about? And are they legitimate?
It's the continued genocidal Indian policies of the United States government. I come from the Pine Ridge Sioux Indian Reservation that for over 50 years have been consistently the poorest county in America. And there's a reason for that. But I'm not here specifically for that. But part of that in our colonization is that the government determines who we are. We have not ascertained our own ability to choose who our own citizens are. The government measures us like they do thoroughbred horses, like they used to do with slaves, and like they do with dogs. We are measured by degree of blood. This has been such an efficient method of colonialism that Hitler wrote about it and copied Indian policy of America to institute his genocidal practices against the Jews, the homosexuals, and the gypsies and others. Apartheid South Africa institutionalized apartheid based upon the Indian Reorganization Act that further defines who is an Indian and who isn't by the United States government. Well, I'm sorry. We have chosen, the Indian people of Colorado and the Indian people of the American Indian Movement of Colorado and of my reservation have chosen Ward Churchill as an American Indian leader. And that's our prerogative. And we follow the cultural rule of indigenous people worldwide. And this has been validated at the United Nations in Geneva, Switzerland, with the United Nations Working Group on Indigenous People. And our cardinal cultural rule worldwide is that if we know our ancestry, then we are who we say we are. Ward knows his ancestry. All the way back to the 18th century. He knows his ancestry better than I know my own. Does that make me less an Indian? Or does that make him more an Indian? Well, the night that he spoke at CU University, we showed up in force to tell the world that the United States government and its hang around the fort Indian people they utilize, they're Vichy Indians, they're Quislings, they're collaborators to denounce war, have no bearing. We determine who we are. And Ward is one of us. Not only one of us, he's one of our leaders.
You want to know where Indian destitution comes from? You want to know why our lifespans are truncated accordingly? You want to know why our children are so desperate that they are committing suicide at 14 times the national average? You want to know why all those things come together? Right now there's a case in the federal courts, Cobell, in which it is conceded that the Bureau of Indian Affairs, in combination with the Treasury Department of the United States government, has misplaced $150 billion worth of assets. Cash, money. By federal count, there's 2 million Indians. You want to divide 2 million into $150 and see what our standard of living would be if it wasn't being spent on designer overpasses, if it wasn't being spent on the accoutrements of the quality of life that every American yuppie has decided that they are divinely entitled to enjoy. Does that make me angry? Yeah, it does. Churchill's angry. He speaks angrily. He speaks forcefully. I don't think the issue, however, is why Churchill would be angry about that. The question is why Governor Bill Owens and the Board of Regents are not. and they've had nothing to say on it. I am not an abstract, detached academic. I have responsibilities and grounding in an actual community. I take those responsibilities very seriously. In fact, they are preeminent. I don't answer to Bill Owens. I don't answer in the sense that they think I do to the Board of Regents. The Board of Regents should do its job and let me do mine. And if Tom Lucero and his friends want to debate the propriety of that, I welcome them to come and join an open dialogue. I have not yet been officially informed they were even having a meeting about me. I read it in the Rocky Mountain News. I watch it on TV. I understand I'm being reviewed. I haven't been notified of that in any official sense either.
There's basically an institutional endeavor underway right now to find some pretext to eliminate me from my position on the basis of stated political disagreement with the position that I've taken on the part of the governor, who has misrepresented the position. I doubt he is even aware of what it actually is, but it's contrary to his own position. Therefore, he has called for my elimination. The state legislature, which I expect is probably equally lacking in conversance with what I actually said as opposed to what's been presented in the media, at both levels, the upper house and the lower house, have passed resolutions apologizing for my existence in effect. The Board of Regents has initiated a procedure to review supposedly the scholarly integrity of my work, but basically it's a fishing expedition to try to find what they would consider to be inflammatory statements. A circular argument. They didn't have a basis to fire me because of the particular statement I made, so they're looking for more comparable statements, and I guess they figure certain weight might be a justification for removal. But as I say, the argument is circular, so you end up with more of the same protected speech activity. It's unequivocally articulated in the rules of the Regents, which are binding on my contract, that I had not only the right to take a political position as a public intellectual, but in fact had the obligation. So I'm being targeted on the basis of having actually taken my job seriously and done it, which is to stimulate controversy leading to engagement and debate furthering the understanding of political and other phenomena in our present environment. Where that goes, I don't know. But there's clearly an attempt to fire me on the basis of having crossed some line that does not exist in the rules. I, however, do have a line, which is that I'm going to hold the institution, the regents, the legislature, and the governor to the articulated legal framework of my relationship with the University of Colorado. They will not cross that line. If they do, it's going to be over my dead body, either figuratively or literally.
Why did you decide to step down as the chair of the Ethnic Studies Department?
An administrative position carries certain connotations, rightly or wrongly, that it's not vested in a faculty position. I did not feel it was fair to the institution or my colleagues or to anyone else to carry the impression that I was in some sense officially representing a position of the university itself. I'll represent my own position. As a faculty member, I have every right and indeed, as I said, the obligation to do so. So I stepped out willingly. I was not under pressure. I volunteered the resignation as chair. That's something I was prepared to negotiate. Didn't have to do with my rights. Had to do with perceptions. My rights, on the other hand, are not negotiable.